Hey, welcome back to The Encounter. It's a look at one of my favorite passages of Scripture. Mark 5 is where we've been in this limited series. We've done a few episodes, and we're kind of looking at the progression of events as Jesus meets and interacts with people in a variety of ways. I want to put our focus now, and if you haven't read Mark 5 for a while, go back and reread it. You see the demoniac that Jesus heals. You see the woman with the issue of blood. You see the crowds pressing in. Jairus asks for help for his daughter. Jesus is moving toward that through the crowds when the woman touches him and he heals her. And then, of course, he moves on and keeps heading toward Jairus' house. I want to focus a little bit today on Jairus because nothing on earth moves faster than big news in a small town. In Capernaum, everyone knew that barring a miracle, Jairus' daughter would not make it through the day. So this sense of loss and doom were contrasted by the fact that Jesus is arriving in town. And so when Jairus, the leader of the synagogue, goes running toward the gathering crowd down by the shore, everyone put two and two together and knew Jairus is going to get Jesus. Jairus is going to go and see if Jesus will heal his daughter. And the Bible tells us in Mark chapter 5, when Jairus saw him, he fell at his feet and begged him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her that she may be healed and she will live." And so Jesus went with him, and a great multitude followed with him. And so for the first time in a long time, Jairus feels hopeful. And they walked briskly. And Jesus and Jairus are moving. The multitude is following. The disciples are in there close, trying to kind of keep people off Jesus, when all of a sudden, Jesus suddenly stops. And we looked at this last time, but scanning the immense crowd that's around him in verse 50, he says, "Who touched my clothes?" If you're Jairus, your heart raced and then sank all at once. You're in the middle of a mob, Lord. Who hasn't touched your clothes? He's thinking, my daughter's dying. And I imagine he looked frantically in the direction of his house, and then he whirls back and he looks impatiently at Jesus, who is now engaged in a casual conversation with a woman that he doesn't recognize because she's never been to the synagogue. Now we know she can't. She's not allowed near there. This woman's an outcast in the community, but Jesus is now having a casual conversation with her. She's touched him. He noticed. He's saying something to her. Something's going on. And so for Jairus, his moment of awe isn't caught up in this miracle of Jesus healing this woman. He's thinking to himself, is he going to come or not? Does he care? Why is he delaying? What's the problem here, God? Get moving. And I say that not flippantly because we all know how that feels. Because we've all asked those kind of questions ourselves. What's the delay? Come on, God, get moving. Maybe it's been in a doctor's office or a courthouse, on the computer reading an unexpected email. Jairus' daughter is your dying relationship, your dying career, your dying future, your dying friend. And Jairus was just about to go and grab Jesus by the arm and pull him away, I have a feeling, when he felt a tug on his shoulder. It was his servant who mumbled in verse 35, "Your daughter is dead." Why trouble the teacher any further? And so Jairus, in his encounter with Jesus, has run the gambit of now hope, that brisk walk back that would have got him there, only to discover that God had something else to do. Jesus had something else to do. And it delayed him getting to Jairus' house. As tears begin to fill the Father's eyes, Jesus sees what's going on, hears what's going on, and utters this phrase, "Don't be afraid, only believe." And if you fast forward through the story, a short time later, the little girl was back among the living. Jairus could have responded, "It's too late, Jesus, you're too late." But I'm reminded in this encounter that we can never make that mistake. We can never make that mistake because Jesus is never late. He's always on time. And rarely is his timing our timing, but he does what he needs to do, and he can do what needs to be done in your life. And he knows better than we do, even though we don't always get it. And so in that encounter with Jairus, it's an amazing story that has a happy ending. And I've often wondered, for the little girl that came back to life, and all those people who were scoffing on the outside of the home because Jesus had tarried, he was too late, there was nothing that could be done. I wonder who was most amazed that day. I have a feeling it was Jairus. Because Jairus was the one who wasn't just an observer to the events that happened. Jairus was engaged and involved. He had gone for help. Jesus said, let's go. The implication of that when he heard the answer was Jesus is going to come and he's going to take care of this. And he was. But then because Jesus didn't do it the way that he thought it ought to be done, because Jesus didn't do it at the speed it needed to be done, because Jesus didn't do it in the order that Jairus had decided it needed to be done, he was convinced for a moment that it was just too late. Only to hear Jesus say, don't be afraid. Just believe. I don't know about you, but in my life, I need to hear that. Times when Jesus just isn't doing things as quickly as I want him to, or working the way that I need for him to, or I think I need for him to, and he's just not doing things the way that I would script him. He says to me in that soft voice with those kind eyes and that smile, and maybe even with a wink, don't be afraid. Just believe. Because Jesus can do what only he can, but when you've gotten to Jesus, you've gotten exactly where you need to be. You just have to be faithful and do what he says and see what happens. And that's my favorite chapter, or one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. Hard to pick a favorite, but it's one of my favorite because of the encounters. They're so unique. They're so amazing. And that will conclude this mini-series, limited edition series, whatever we want to call it, called The Encounter. If you liked it, let us know. If you didn't, keep it to yourself. And join us next time for whatever program we're offering here at the Church of 434 in Motion. There's something new all the time for you to see, and hopefully it helps encourage you in your journey of faith. So until we join you on whatever program comes next, may God bless.